Man in Gray here with another Man in Gray book review. Today's book is Cells at Work! Volume 1, written and illustrated by Akane Shimizu and translated from Japanese into English by Yamato Tanaka. This was published by Kodansha Comics in 2016, and it's 192 pages. Cells at Work is a 13-volume manga series about the human body's immune system. So don't tell anybody, but it's an educational manga. All right. The premise here, the conceit, is the human body is seen as a giant factory. And the cells are workers inside the factory. The red blood cells, the erythrocytes, as you see here, are carrying around. They're dressed and perform like delivery service people, FedEx, UPS people, and they carry around oxygen bottles or boxes that are labeled oxygen. They carry around to their different body cells. The white blood cells, various white blood cells, are the parts of the body that fight off infections, and this one over here is a neutrophil, the most common white blood cell, and they're always portrayed as in like military style uniforms, and they're carrying around knives or swords or guns to fight off the infection. And the bad guys, the bacteria, the viruses, and the pollen grains and whatever that trigger an immune response, are usually portrayed as multi-tentacled monsters, like in H.P. Lovecraft horror stories, or as kind of street gangsters, punk mohawk haircuts and leather and so forth. So it's all kind of humorous. And there is a kind of a frame story over the whole thing. This young red blood cell here is new on the job. She doesn't really know her job yet, and she runs into this neutrophil, who's an older, more experienced white blood cell, and he kind of shows her the ropes, where to go from the lungs to the body parts that she's supposed to be delivering oxygen to. And on the way, she always keeps running into some kind of problem. In the first volume, there are four different attacks on the immune system. First, there's pneumonia virus attacks. And then there's cedar pollen, which triggers an allergic response. And then there's the flu. And then finally, there's a scrape wound where dirt and bacteria get in from that. In future volumes or further volumes, there's things like hay fever, COVID-19, and even cancer. And in each case, you see which cells get activated and how they respond. And sometimes, of course, there's outside things like vaccines and vitamin B shots and so forth, antibiotics and so forth that are put in. Those are also described on how they work. Every time a new character appears, there's a little box next to them in one or two sentences that explains what they are and what they do. So it's a fun way to learn about the body's immune system. If you're a biology student or a pre-med student, this is a good way to either review or learn for the first time about the immune response. And unlike a lot of mangas, or probably most mangas, you don't really have to read these in sequence because each book there's a list of different infections. As I said, each time there's hay fever and so forth, and so the same cells react. So you don't have to read them in sequence. There is a kind of a frame story, but it's not that vital to do. So you could read volume 4 and then go back and read volume 1 or volume 7 or whatever. You don't have to read them all in sequence. But you could, of course, if you want to. But it's unlike most of them, it's a fun thing. And it's also kind of a nice break from if you're a big manga fan, it's kind of a nice break from the usual manga tropes of romance, horror, fantasy, science fiction, and sports. I mean, those are what, if you look at mangas, almost all of them fall into those categories. But this one is different. It's an educational manga, but there's a lot of adventure. There is one little caveat I might mention. These are probably not appropriate for very small children because the attacks on the viruses and bacteria are quite violent. Even though they're in black and white, there's a lot of blood. They hack away at each other with swords and stuff, or guns, and blast away at them. So they are pretty violent, more violent than you'd see in a children's comic in the United States. And there are 13 volumes of this. It also led to a anime series on television, which has also been translated or dubbed into English, if you'd like to watch that. And it proved so popular that there's been several spin-off animes, or mangas rather, by other authors. There's a Cells at Work Baby, which goes through the immune response of newborns and how their immune response develops over time. There's Cells at Work Code Black, which deals with an alcoholic heavy smoker who's overweight, and so the cells have to fight off all these problems that their the boss, the factory, is causing. And there's a series dealing with platelets and a series dealing with females. Cells at Work Lady, which deals with unique infection problems that women have. So, and all together, they're fun and an easy way to learn something about the human body's immune response. The book is Cells at Work, Volume 1. The author is Akane Shimizu. The translator is Yamato Tanaka. This has been another Manning Great Book Review. Thanks for watching.